Welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm Speaks here, Jared and Bob. Before we get to any of I don't know, the big stories, I guess, kind of crazy now. This is like 2 weeks in a row where we go live, and just before we go live, there's last week was a day before, but regardless, um, benefits of having a podcast, I guess. But it's funny because we record obviously on Sundays and Tuesdays, and it just so happens that a lot of shit happens to go on those days, on or around. But we'll get to that. To start, the other thing that happened today was the Open Championship, also known as the British Open, right? It is golf's fourth major. It was today, and Xander Schauffele won again. So if you remember back at the PGA, which is the second major of the year, we were on here talking about it. I even said, and you agreed, right? He's very vanilla. Just kind of really doesn't get the juices going. Well, he told both of us to shut the fuck up and sit down because he's going to win two majors in a year. So obviously, winning a major in golf is extremely difficult. Not a lot of people have done it, right? Comparatively to how many people play the sport or have played in the sport. Not a lot of people have won multiple majors in their entire career, right? Let alone two in the same year. So for Xander Schauffele to come out amidst a lot of criticism too, because he's always the guy that just really couldn't close. Wasn't quite Tony Finau, right? Because he did win. He did have some wins here and there, and obviously he won the gold medal at the Olympics in it was 2016 or 2020. I don't know. Did the 2020 Olympics even fucking happen? Who knows? I think it was 2016.
No, it was the 2020 Olympics that happened in 2021.
Yeah. So he is a good golfer, right? He is extremely talented. He's one of the five best golfers on the planet at any given time. And I'll just give him props, right? I won't talk shit to him or about him for the fact that he's not a winner anymore. Still a little plain for my liking, but I mean, hey, the guy just won two majors in the same season, so he's fine in my book.
It's the same thing with Scotty Scheffler. Like, there's not a lot interesting about Scotty Scheffler outside of him being really good at golf. So if Schauffele wants to win majors and actually compete, yeah, I'm in. Fine.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, if that's the thing, is like, you don't need to be an interesting personality if you're going to be good.
Right. If you're going to constantly be winning, that's fine.
Obviously, in the most extreme example, Tiger Woods wasn't really interesting as a
No, he
person.
was
Like,
he was a
he gave you
robot.
nothing. Him and Belichick gave you about as much info in press
Yeah.
conferences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only Tiger didn't like snort, spit, and grunt at people.
No, he just snorted Ambien and spit
But
on prostitutes.
on the on the golf course, yes, he was very demonstrative, if you will. So
Yeah.
if you want to call that personality, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it just kind of comes down to like, I don't know, what are you looking for? And my only thing is, if you tell me someone's popular, it better be because they're good.
Right.
And like, if someone's gonna be like not good but super popular, then they got to be like really, really fucking interesting. Like really fucking interesting.
Like a Joel
And
Damon,
like
right?
Joel
Like,
Damon and Kisner are like the two that kind of come to mind.
right. Right. They're neither one of them is that good. They're good enough to win on tour, right? They have won tournaments. But they're not that good.
Yeah, they're not major good.
Right.
They're not top players in the world good.
But they're funny. They have good personalities.
Yeah.
Obviously, Damon got uber famous from Full Swing.
Yeah, Kiz got uber famous from foreplay. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's sort of
Yeah.
how that one goes.
Right. Right.
Um, to be fair, I'm not always looking for that. Like when I watch golf, I'm usually looking for like good players playing well.
Yeah. Yep.
But I'll never root for Patrick Cantlay though. That guy is about as interesting as a fucking wet paper bag.
Yeah. No, can't do it there. I can't do it there.
Fuck him. He could win the Grand Slam next year. And I'll say like, hey man, that's like pretty fucking good, but like still,
Yeah.
like, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep tipping your fake hat.
He's a fucking clown.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys. It's like it's hard to root for them just because they're fucking lame, right? So like before Xander won two majors this year, he was kind of in that category for me, where like, yeah, he's really talented, but like I'm not gonna sit there and root for the guy because like, yeah, he doesn't do anything for me. But like now he just won two majors in the same year. And if he's in contention in the at the Masters in April, I root for him, right? It
Yeah, I
depends on who
mean,
he's going against, right? Like if he's going against Kepka, I'm probably going to root for him. Or DeChambeau, I'll pick DeChambeau over him. But like, you know, if it's Xander, Cantlay, fucking Russell Henley, and like someone else, like I'll root for Xander. I'll be like, yeah, no, I hope Xander pulls it off, right? Like he's now cemented that in my fandom, right? Not that that fucking means anything because I'm one person and I'm a piece of shit. So, but like at least in my world, um, the option to actually root for Xander in a tournament is there.
yes, I mean, now he has 9 wins, 2 majors. Uh, 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 nothing on Europe alone, and in Olympic gold. That's all he's got. So
Yeah.
9 PGA Tour wins, 2 majors, Olympic gold. Depending on where you put, I don't value Olympic gold like
No.
whatsoever.
No.
Um, to me, him winning like the Scottish Open is probably more impressive than winning Olympic gold.
I would say so. I would agree with that.
It's a harder field,
Yeah.
um, harder conditions. So, one win was the Zurich, but like now it doesn't matter. Like when you're up to like 9-2, like because when
Yeah.
he was at 4 majors for a long time.
Four
I'm sorry,
wins.
major 4 wins,
Yeah.
four
Yeah.
event
Yeah.
wins for
Yeah.
like a long time. And then
And
it's
one of them was the
like,
Zurich.
and then fifth was the Zurich, and I'm like, that doesn't fucking count. But then he won two
Right.
more in 2022,
Right.
and it's like, okay, maybe he's turning. Then he did nothing last year, but 2 majors this year.
Yeah.
Sort of cements it like
He won early in 2022, right? Because he won Riv.
he did not win Riv. He won the Zurich in April, and then he
Oh,
won
I
in
thought
June
I
and
thought he won the
July.
Genesis.
That was probably Homa that year.
Oh.
I forget what year Homa won. Um, but actually, now you bring him, or now that you bring him, I brought him up. Now home is starting to sort of move that way
Yeah.
because his personality has actually been neutered a little bit. I don't know who did
Yeah.
it. I don't know if it's because he got a little bit older, he got married, he's got a kid, he's won some events, he's got sponsors, PJ Tour told him to fuck off. I don't know why, but he's not really being him, it seems like. Or you're
Yeah.
just straight up not hearing from him. Plus, he's not playing very well
Right. Right.
this year. He played well last year. Um, but now he's starting to move into that category because I think he's got like 5 or 6. I'm not looking it up. Maybe 4. I can't even remember now. It doesn't matter. Um, but it's like now it's almost like, hey, if people are gonna talk about him and Finau are like in the same category now. It's like, when are
Yeah.
you guys gonna make the jump?
He has 6 wins
Holy shit. 2 Wells Fargo, 2 Riv, and 2 others.
and
Doesn't matter what.
two Fortinet. Every tournament he's won it twice.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Um, And then yeah, I mean it's gonna and there'll be a new crop of guys that comes into this, like, the can't lay home a Finau crew. It's
Yeah.
like, will any of them make the jump? But it's like that's just the new Westwood, Donald, um, who's an American that never Stricker, I guess. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
those are all guys that never won kind of in that same era. Um, or never won majors. So there's always a crop of guys. Again, with only 4 a year, not everyone can win, but we'll see how the Tom Kims of the world, the Ludwigs, we'll see how these
Yeah. I
guys
mean,
start to do.
all signs point to Ludwig being a fucking stud.
Right, because
Now, he
he
needs to
won
be able
he
to close, right, in some of the bigger
yeah.
tournaments, but he's only 23 years old. Like, he'll figure it out.
Right, and he won one on the PGA Tour, he won one on the European Tour right
Right.
after turn pro.
Right.
And then
Right.
he's been around in majors, he hasn't closed one.
Right.
So by the time he's 28, that'll be like
He's got 5 more
6
years.
that's like 6 seasons of PGA Tour play.
Yeah.
So it'll
That's
feel
12
like
cracks that's 12. He'll have 12 major events that he'll play in
more than
before
that.
he's 28 years old.
Be like 20. He's already played in four.
Oh, yeah.
5 times 4. Well, I have like 20 or 24. But like I think Rahm's rookie
I
year
did
was
3 years. I was like, oh, it'll be
yeah,
3 years.
that math doesn't math.
Nope.
But like even Rahm, I think he took like 6, or in his 6th season, he finally won a major.
Yeah.
Um, Not everyone comes out blazing. DeChambeau's probably similar. Like I like
Yeah.
him and Rahm are like 1 year apart from coming out on tour. And then it took him 4 more years to win another one. So that's the thing, is like these dudes are young. So
Right.
they like it might feel like a long time that they don't get one, but then it's like they're still only 28.
Right. Like, Xander is probably 32, 30, 33.
Um, yeah, about that.
I feel like
I
he's,
think his rookie year was like 16, 17.
oh, Jesus Christ. He's 30. He was
Yeah, so I
born in
mean,
1993 in October. So he'll be 31 later this year.
yeah.
But
That's the thing though,
holy
it feel
shit.
yeah, it's not quite hockey players, but it's similar to that
Yeah.
when dude's an 8 year veteran at fucking 26.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude. I feel like he's been around for like 10 years.
I mean, it's been 8. I mean,
Yeah.
he really broke out at the Aaron Hills US Open, because I remember distinctly being like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. Yeah. He was a rookie year in
It was 16,
2017.
yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, he's in that means he's got to be in his 8th season. So, yeah,
yeah,
in his eighth.
that's kind of crazy.
Yep, and it's only going to be more like that because the college kids that come out, they're just further along.
Yeah. I feel like they're different kinds of athletes that are starting to come out now, too.
Well, this is what I think what you'll start to see. I think you'll start to see these college kids show up to what's next? Are they in Wisconsin,
The 3M.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
So I don't know who's out there, but like, and it probably won't. So it won't be Thorbjornsen because he just turned pro this year. It won't be him, but like someone like him, like whoever was in PGA Tour U like 3 years ago. Whoever comes out of that, they could absolutely just steamroll everybody this week. Like
Yeah.
just hitting it further, hitting driver everywhere, and it just so happens that they're hitting it straight, and no one's gonna like touch that.
Right.
But then there's certain courses, the Rivieras of the world, Muirfield Village, the majors, where that shit just simply doesn't fucking fly.
Right. Right.
And that's like the Corn Ferry Tour. Like it's mostly just like a wedge and putt off. PGA Tour has some events like that, but not every event can kind of go that way. So you're going to start to see, I think, some of these younger guys just like putting on some really impressive performances in some of these other events.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the trickier golf courses or the ones that are like slightly more demanding, you're probably still going to see the same kind of people kind of floating around. But that's not
Yeah.
to say like Schauffele can't get hot and win. I don't even know what he'll play next, but whatever the first playoff event is, when it's like mostly a full field. It's not to say like he can't get hot and do the exact same thing,
Right.
but it's also a lot trickier. It's a lot trickier to win on an easy course because it brings more people into the race. Like Kroon played hard, and there were I know I was bitching about the leaderboard early, sort of figured itself out.
Right. Right.
And the
Yeah.
guys that
Hard golf courses typically the best guy is going to win.
over 72.
Yeah.
Because any idiot can have a really good round for one round.
Right. Right.
And they can kind of like, and if it's that hard, they can hang on
Yeah.
for another one or two.
Like Dan
And
Brown.
then eventually it just takes over.
Right. Right. So, shout out to Xander again, 2-time major winner. Pretty impressive in the same season.
They
So,
should I know I said it before. They should start letting him talk shit. Anyway,
yeah. Yeah. I wonder if those guys will probably just stay in Europe because the Olympics start this week.
those
So I
guys
mean,
will then, yeah.
yeah, they'll probably just fly from Scotland to Paris and then just
Yeah.
do their thing and go from there. Um, but yeah, so switching gears, into some more politicking, which is just dandy that
Just awesome.
we get to do more politic talk.
Yeah, it's
I think in the last 3 episodes than like the last 3 months combined. Um, so some news, some news happened today. Um, Joseph Robinette Biden, the current president of the United States, has officially declared that he will not be seeking reelection, which I don't know when the last time this has ever happened or if this has ever happened that a sitting president has opted to not run for reelection. So obviously there have been some one-term presidents, but it's typically like the incumbent has lost after one term, right? H.W. Bush, Carter, Trump, um, I don't know. Harrison, one of the Harrisons might have been a one-term president, or Warren G. Harding actually might have been a one-term guy. But like, I don't know if there has ever been a by choice one-term president. So this might be the first time ever.
looking like Lyndon Johnson was the last.
Okay, but he was also a replacement
Right, he was
for
never elected in the
Kennedy,
first place.
right?
I guess it did happen. Truman didn't go for reelection, but he was a replacement as well. He had replaced FDR.
Right.
They didn't go into like a list after that. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. John Adams apparently was a one-term president.
Well, I guess. Well, I think the difference is not just one term because you can
It's
go
one
run for
term, but it
reelection.
didn't run for
Yeah,
reelection.
it's those that didn't run. Um, because apparently Frank. Okay, so there are a
Ben
few that just.
Franklin.
Yeah, Ben Franklin. He was our greatest president. He probably ran for 7 terms. Um,
Ah, so this is the second time ever. I have the answer.
no,
A
because Coolidge
local
didn't.
guy.
Coolidge didn't seek reelection.
So
Truman, OBJ.
according to Town and Country magazine,
I'm on that thing too.
the last time an American political party declined to nominate their incumbent president for reelection was Franklin Pierce, local guy from New Hampshire, who was
Yeah, so
the 14th president.
so he didn't win the Democratic nomination.
Right.
Like if Biden continued to run, he would have had it. I assume. There's always possible he wouldn't.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it sounds like some of the replacements didn't run for reelection, which I guess that makes sense too, because it's like you weren't elected in the first place.
Yeah. So Calvin Coolidge and Lyndon B. Johnson also decided not to seek reelection.
Truman was the other one I saw.
Yeah.
So it's rare, right?
Yeah.
46 presidents and like 5 to 7 of them didn't
Says
seek reelection.
in the 19th century, so the 1800s, the four separate presidents all became president following the death or assassination of the incumbent, did not win their primaries, their party's nomination, losing during the convention. So to combine the two scenarios, right? To not only not win the nomination, but also choose not to run. He's the only guy, right? Because they put a little caveat in here. It said like, though Biden framed this decision as his choice, it was clearly at the pressure of the Democratic caucus,
Okay. Yeah. So
which is
okay.
true.
Yeah, but
So
who's
this
to
is,
say? Yeah, but who's to say the other guys weren't the exact same situation?
oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I don't know what Lyndon B. Johnson was. What was JFK?
Democrat.
Okay, so LBJ was a Democrat.
Yep.
The Democratic Party could have easily told him like, bro, we are not fucking pushing you along, so don't bother going for reelection.
Right. Right.
So I know that magazine said that. That is a fucking bullshit thing.
Yeah.
Because and again, it's like I know it was possible that they weren't gonna pick him. I strongly feel that if he was gonna continue to run, they were gonna fucking fire him out there. Now, the reason he's not running
Is because they forced
is
him
because they
to.
forced him out. I think both can be true, and it might be arguing semantics a little bit. But I think if he refused to step down, they still would have trotted him out there as the Democratic nominee. I believe that because then they would have ripped the fucking Democratic Party in half while Trump is surging right now.
I don't think the plan was ever for him to be the candidate. I think this has been the plan all along, to pull
Maybe
him out last minute. He was never, I think he fucked everything up being grumpy old man,
saying like I'm going.
dementia guy saying, no, I'm still running. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm still running. Right. And then because there was a lot of rumors, right? Remember 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago after
Yeah, they said
the
he was going to
the
drop after the
debate,
debate.
they were saying he might drop out. Then they had a family meeting, right,
And he
with
said,
Jill
I'm not
and
fucking
his
going
and
anywhere.
Hunter, and he said, "I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving." So did he say that, or did Jill say that? Who knows, right? But they got pressured into dropping out,
Yeah, so
right?
this is pure speculation. This is the problem.
I don't
If
think
he,
they wanted him from the start.
I don't
I
think
think he fucked up.
they probably didn't want him after 6 months of him being in.
Yeah,
But they probably didn't want to go to Harris, but I don't know, maybe they do. Whatever. I would find it hard to believe based on society. This is not any type of political background, political opinion. I think it would be hard to believe that based on society, if Biden was like, nope, I'm running, nope, I'm running, nope, I'm running, he goes, I'm fucking doing it. I think it would have been hard for me to believe that the Democratic Party would have went with somebody else without him resigning or without him choosing. Now, ultimately, this is what they wanted. That's why I think both things can be true. Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those, like, dude, you got to drop. And it's like, nah, I don't really want to drop. It's like, no, dude, like, we need you to fucking drop. Like, I really don't want to. I kind of want to do this again. It's like, dude, no, like, you're not fucking listening to us.
Yeah.
Like, don't make us fucking make this happen. Just fucking drop.
They didn't want him in 2020.
Who did they
They
want then?
they wanted Kamala, if you remember.
Oh, she would have got fucking boat raced in 2020.
Well, they were propping her up, right? Again, because of whatever. And she dropped out before the primaries even started because Tulsi Gabbard absolutely fucking eviscerated her on the debate stage for one of the early debates, like the Democratic primary debates. Tulsi Gabbard literally ended her presidential campaign. So right after that debate, Kamala dropped out.
Which is
And
funny
then
because,
they
well,
did some shady shit to Tulsi, and then Tulsi dropped out because she magically lost all of her donors.
yeah. But that's the
And
thing though, if Tulsi crushed her using like logic and probably some level of, professional respect, what would have happened if she fucking went on stage against the other guy who doesn't give a fuck?
yeah, I don't think they'll allow it.
Not now, but
Yeah,
in
no, they
in
won't.
2020.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
He would
Yeah,
have
but
he would have fucking killed her.
they didn't think that Trump was going to be the candidate either. Remember, these things are happening in like parallel timelines, right? So no, yeah, no,
No, 2020
no,
he
I'm
was
sorry.
running
Yeah, I'm
he
thinking
was running for
2026.
re-election.
Sorry. That was Hillary and Trump.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's more about the power, right? And then they just would have lied. Look at what they've done for the last 4 years. They just lie, right? They just would have kept lying about shit. So I think they thought, or I think they thought, they could have just lied about everything and just kept pushing her through and then figured it out, right? But Tulsi threw a monkey wrench in the plan. They turned around, screwed Tulsi over. So then, if their darling Kamala was gone, the one person that had any fucking sanity, Tulsi got booted out. Who was the one person that was more popular than anybody else in the Democratic primary in 2020? Bernie Sanders. They couldn't have Bernie win.
Too crazy.
They can't have that. They can't let Bernie win. But also because Bernie was the Trump version of the left, right? He was a kind of not necessarily a bombastic, but he was like a off the cuff, right? He was I I have extreme some of my beliefs, right, are extreme left, but I stand by them, right? Like I truly believe I truly believe that Bernie believes, right, in the things that he says. I don't think that Bernie is saying shit just to say shit, right? I think he really believes the things that he says, which is fine, right? I don't need to agree with him. I don't whatever, right? But I believe he believes that. And enough people liked him where again, if we're assuming that this quote unquote deep state is a thing, right? They can't have Bernie because they can't control him. You can't have an election between Donald Trump, who can't be told what to do, and Bernie Sanders, who can't be told what to do, because the deep state then loses, right? It's a lose-lose scenario.
Yeah.
So what do? They systematically get all the other candidates to drop out. So Klobuchar, Buttigieg, I don't know if Tim Kaine was still in the race or that was 2016 or whatever, whoever. Like there was all these people dropped out, and then what happens? Barack Obama walks out and goes, I support Joe Biden. He was a great vice president. Wouldn't you know, all of a sudden he starts winning in the primaries. and then he beats Bernie for the nomination, right? So they did Bernie dirty, right? That's hard to say. Say that 10 times fast. All because I think their master plan all along was Kamala, right? Because she will do what she's told. She will play in the sandbox.
Yeah, she's a
right?
puppet. She's not
She's
smart
a
enough
she's a
to.
puppet. Yeah. So all of the inner workings behind the curtain and all that shit continue right along, right? Because they tell her exactly what to do, where to go, what to say, where to stand. Stand on the X, right? There you go. Stand right there. But everything got screwed up, so they had to pivot and go, well, fuck, we can't let Bernie win. So who's the next available guy? Well, Buttigieg is gay, so you're not gonna get votes from anyone in Middle America. No one really knows who Klobuchar is. All right, let's get these people out. Let's bring Obama back. Let's get him to support his guy, right? His vice president, because people love Obama, right? And it's like, oh, let's do that. And then there was an election that did not have 0% fraud in it, right? That is a fact. Was it, again, we said it before, was it enough fraud to sway the election? I don't know. But the fact is that the amount of fraud was not zero.
Can't be
right?
zero.
It's never zero, right? So
It's like the fucking radar gun. There's
yeah,
percent error in everything.
yeah,
Anything that's ever been measured.
exactly. So then all of a sudden Biden's in office, right? And people were saying in 2020, the guy's got dementia, the guy's mentally, uh yeah, not corrupt, but he's inept, right? That's the word I'm looking for. He's mentally inept, right? He's got this thing. And now fast forward 3.5 years later, yeah, they were right. Because he's not good enough to run, right? So now what are they going to do? I think they'll probably just trot out Kamala because I probably won't. But I was going to say I need to look into it a little bit more. But I did hear people talk that the deadline for certain delegates to be distributed for like 2 or 3 states. Again, you're talking 2 or 3 states, so it's not a big deal. But I think one of them was Ohio, which kind of is a big deal. They have a lot of delegates. I think that deadline was like the last Friday in June, right? So there is a possibility, right? That, and again, if Kamala wins all of the other delegates and she doesn't get the delegates from 3 states, she's still the nominee, right? But I think those 2 or 3 states are locked into giving their delegates to Biden because it's past the deadline. So just kind of interesting, right? To keep in mind, like there's something along the lines of donation money too, right? Because it's so far along in the race. I think all of the donation money that was given to the Biden campaign is only eligible if it flows into his vice president. And again, if that money goes away, how hard is it for all those people to just write new checks, right? Probably not that difficult. But that is a thing, right? All of that money would need to funnel to Kamala. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. The other thing that's really interesting that I started seeing like a week ago, maybe a little, roughly about a week ago, was there was one person kicking around the possibility that maybe they might nominate her. And that's right, I said her, and a Democrat. So you know who's coming. It's Hill Dog. There have been rumors that started a week ago, right? Before Biden just announced he's dropping out today, right? So before this even happened, I saw from multiple different sources and heard on the Drinking Bros podcast that there were rumors that Hillary might throw her name back into the ring as a, oh no, you need someone to run that has experience? Okay, I guess I'll have to do it. The only issue there The major issue there is you. So the Democrats have painted themselves into a really tight corner here because they have built the last decade really on DEI stuff, right? So if you have a vice president that, which is really funny because also in the last couple of weeks I saw they pulled out headlines from the 2020 primary season where like it's like the New York Times or whatever, and they call Kamala Harris Indian American, right? And then after she becomes the vice president, she's a
She's
black
black.
woman. After
Yep.
she's a black woman American. So it's like okay, whatever. But regardless, right? You've spent the better part of the last decade building your whole platform on diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? We need to let all people do exactly what they need to do. Black people are marginalized. We need to do everything we can to lift them up, right? Because they can't do it on their own, right? So we have to do it for them, right? They don't even have licenses. Remember that this is a thing. These are things that people have said over the last few years. It's documented. It would be a really bad look if they had a vice president, female, a black female vice president, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go with Hillary, who is white, by the way.
And
Now,
there's,
could
I would
they
say
get
there's all,
around it if they keep Kamala as the vice president? Maybe.
and I was to say
But
she's probably enough of a well. So I
but
will
now
say,
you
but
have
like
a ticket with two women on it.
I was gonna say, and like I know it's 2024, but let's remember what the middle of this country is.
Yeah. Not to
And
mention, not to mention, Joe
then you,
Biden
then I would say,
was extremely unpopular, right? We agree. Joe Biden is extremely unpopular. Not was, is, right? He has the lowest approval rating of any president in the last, however many decades. I forget what the stat is, right?
no, dude,
Very, very
he's the most
unpopular.
consequential president we've ever had.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I've
absolutely.
seen that a lot today.
There's
I don't know where that
Barack
where
Obama said that, so
I don't
other
know
people
what.
are now
Oh, so other
parroting it.
people are
Yeah,
parroting that because I was
yeah,
gonna say I
yeah,
don't know where that adjective came from.
yeah. No, no.
I can think of some more consequential presidents
Yeah,
in history.
yeah.
George Washington would probably be the top of my list.
Probably, yeah. um. So again, Joe Biden, extremely unpopular, right? There happens to be one person that we have polling numbers for who's actually more unpopular than Joe Biden, and that is Kamala Harris, right? Uh,
I also have
however,
a feeling that there's someone that's
however,
probably more unpopular than both of
there's
them.
probably someone that's a little bit more unpopular than both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and that is Hillary Clinton.
No one likes her, dude.
No one likes her. We know for a fact because she already lost to Trump.
Yep. But I even think too, so it's like you try to think, it's like, oh, well, woman president. I don't think women like her.
I don't think women like her.
I don't see why black people would like her.
Nope. Nope.
What other minority groups are there? If the black people don't like her, like the immigrants and all that, they're not gonna like her. What are they gonna
Right.
like about her?
Right. So
Well, they might not like the other guy either. So I guess you're flipping a coin on
yeah.
that one. But
So you can see they've painted themselves in quite the fucking corner here by forcing Joe Biden. Oh, can't have Biden. Can't have Biden. Well, your other options kind of aren't that great. We did this, right? We did this like 2 weeks ago, maybe like 4 or 5 shows ago, right? We did a whole fucking 20 minutes on this where it was like, we were joking that after the debate, Joe Biden said, I'm staying in the race because I'm the best chance that of the Democrats have to beat Trump. And I sat here in this very chair on this same screen and said, that's fucking hilarious, but I think he's right.
yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know how this one's gonna go. Like, Harris is a puppet, maybe, and honestly, maybe she's a sacrificial lamb. Like,
I've seen that too. So Dan Holloway has said
oh,
that
I have a
that
tinfoil hat
they're
theory.
gonna the they when I say the they, right, that referring to like the people behind the curtain, right? um Dan Holloway has said that she is the sacrificial lamb, and this is essentially the way to kill two birds with one stone, because you're pushing Biden out of the race. You don't have to deal with his old ass anymore, him being obstinate, who really, Jill was probably really running the country, at least for the last year. And then if Kamala runs, right, she is the candidate, she runs and gets fucking decimated, we're done. We're done with her. Her political career is over, and you never have to deal with her ever again.
You know what they're also probably done with? Non-white males.
Yeah.
That's my conspiracy theory. Throw her out there. Let her get absolutely fucking drilled.
Yep.
Like everyone, hey, sometimes you get speed bagged.
Yeah.
And then within the Democratic Party, because the people, because again, what does this ultimately come back to? Someone's pushing the buttons, and I'm guessing that they're probably white males.
Yeah.
But right now, like within the Democratic Party, they got their feet in the sand and like digging their heels in on all this other bullshit. And then they can probably say, like, hey, you know what? We're just kind of going more traditional now.
Yeah.
Like we tried with the minority woman and it didn't work.
You know what I've heard? Interestingly enough, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure there's no connection at all. But a name that I've heard thrown around that could be next in the pipeline for the Democrats to run for president is Governor Josh Shapiro, who, if that name sounds familiar to you, he is the governor of Pennsylvania, who just gave a speech after the failed Trump assassination attempt.
Any
So I'm
tinfoil
I'm
around? I don't have any
sure I'm
tinfoil
sure
around.
that that's not connected at all. But
Well, so the other thing too is, doesn't Pennsylvania swing?
it does, yes.
There you go. Bring in one of Pennsylvania's own.
Right. Right.
Now, you can't do that every time, but
Yeah.
you want to swing a state, and there's a competent candidate from that state.
Right.
Seems like a good idea. Put him in the cabinet or something.
Right.
But they would have to win. But
Yeah, which they're not
um,
going to.
they're not going. I don't think Harris wins.
But now they're saying Josh Shapiro could be the 2028 guy.
Yeah, maybe it is. And then again, that's like that's like your party reset, especially if she gets drilled. Like,
Yeah.
no, I think Trump is so polarizing that she can't get beat as bad as like she probably should, because she'll get enough. Like, I support Democrats.
Yeah.
Okay, though she'll get all of those votes, and
Yeah.
she'll get
There's
the
enough people that hate
I
Trump.
can't vote for Trump. So she'll get
Yeah.
all of those votes too.
There's enough
Whereas,
people that hate Trump so much they'll still vote. They'll vote for
yeah,
they'd vote for the corpse of Joe Biden, for
yeah.
Christ's
So
sake.
she'll end up. So she won't end up getting like historically beat. She might.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'd be surprised if she won.
Yeah. It won't be a
Uh,
one what is it, Walter Mondale situation here.
is that the one that did Nixon fucking
Yeah,
beat the shit
absolutely
out of him?
fucking walloped him. I think Mondale only won one state. It was the state he was from, which was like Minnesota or something.
Um,
So he got like fucking six delegates.
yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm gonna actually get to a point because I actually wrote down something after Biden gave his thing.
Yeah,
And it's like, again, none of this has anything to do with politics. It's all just like kind of like where I think we're at. And I just don't think she's popular enough to win,
yeah,
because I think she is too much of an idiot, like on record, that people will see that.
right. Time to be unburdened by what has been. It's like, the
Dude,
fuck
it's
does that even
like,
mean?
dude, it's fucking got caught. Dude, it's like she got locked in the Bunty soap truck. Like, I got tripped up on a guy doing the repeater. Like, that's all she does. All she does is
Yeah,
she fucking picks two words and tries to figure out a
yeah,
way to use them all the time.
yeah. It's a timely time to think about how we need to move in a timely manner and spend this time to reflect on all of the time that we've had so far in our time together. It's like, dude, what the
What
Christ
the
did you
hell?
just say?
At no point in your incoherent rambling.
Yeah, we are now all dumber for listening. May God have mercy on your soul.
So the interesting thing that kind of piggybacks off that idea, we haven't spoke about one actual political aspect, right?
Right.
We've only spoke about conspiracies and rumors and like effectively like irrational type things
Yeah.
that will be in play here. So I think it was the end of Biden's statement, not like the written like the letter. And it said something like, "Oh, it's time to come together and beat Trump." And that's like kind of how it ended or whatever. And I thought that was interesting because I thought that was a really shitty fucking statement. And I don't know politics, but I know sports and I know golf like specifically, right?
Right.
So it's time to come together and beat Trump. Well, here's the thing. You can't control Trump. You can't control his voters. So whether Trump wins or not is actually out of the Democratic control. And same thing, whether the new Democrat wins isn't really in the Republican control either, right?
Right.
The only thing that you can control is putting the information out there that you think will get you the most amount of votes. And the
Right.
reason I said like, oh, I know golf, it's like you can't control like if me and you play a match, you can't control what I do.
Correct.
And you can't change your strategy based on what I'm doing and know that it's going to work. It might not. Like, as stupid as it is, it's like, well, I'm going to hit iron off the tee because Bob's in the woods. It's like, all right, well, I just chipped out and I hit
Yeah.
that to 2 feet and I made the putt.
Right.
You missed the green, you're in a bunker. Now you have to hit a sand shot and it's got to be up and down or you're going to lose that hole. It's like, well, why'd you hit iron? Like,
Right. Should have just hit driver.
so we always talk it like in sport, you always talk about that. You can't worry like your strategy can't be the other person.
Right.
Like your opponent can't be your strategy. You need to have your own strategy. So, as you can agree or you can disagree, but it's very fucking clear what Trump runs on, and it's make America great again.
Right.
And then, well, what does that mean? Well, he has his things for how he's going to accomplish that, but now that's become like a rallying cry and a insult and everything else.
Right.
But if the roles were reversed, I don't think Trump would say, and we'll come together to beat Biden. I think he would say, and we'll come together to make America great again.
Right. Right.
So, like, it's very odd that, again, they're so focused on just like beating this guy that you don't know what the party, because this is the other thing is that, like, they're talking about like, oh, the Democratic nominee, it's a system. They're running a system. They're not running like candidates. It's like there's behind the scenes, whether it's a deep state or it's the rich people or whatever. Like they're
Right.
running a system. They're not running candidates, and the candidates aren't like this is being controlled from the top, like puppeteers,
Right.
which on all accounts is right. We don't know what they want to accomplish, right? Because some
Right.
people are so fucking extreme within that party that it's like, well, that person's crazy. We're not listening to them. So it's like, what do they really want to do here besides win the game? That's all it sounds like they want to do. And it's like, hey, win by any means necessary. The only problem is you're not putting anything forward. And now I assume they'll have to at some point, but like the things that they can control, they're not talking about. They're not talking about what platforms they're going to run on. They're not talking about the topics that they want. I know we talked about this a little bit. Like
Yeah.
they didn't talk about what we stand for, what we don't stand for. Like they're not, and again, this would come out later, but it's like, who is going to be involved in this process?
Right.
So it's like ultimately, whoever it is, what are you gonna do? Or is it always just gonna be like, oh well, Orange Man bad,
That's
vote for me?
exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be Orange Man bad.
And I think that's almost now, some people will figure this out that it's an absolute insult to the American people that in the most important election for the country, you know, voting in Massachusetts is a waste of time,
Right.
but for the country, the most important election, one side of it is treating you like you're a bunch of retards. They are literally just going, well, we're gonna win because we're the good side.
Because we have to. Because Orange
Yeah.
Man bad.
Yeah, the dark side. The red is dark, like dark side bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blue, vote blue.
Yeah. Blue good. Red
Blue
bad.
good. And it's like, well, why is blue good? Oh, because we don't have Orange Man.
Yeah.
Well, but like, but why you? What are you gonna do for me? What
Yeah.
do you feel strongly about? Defeating Orange Man and the radical right. It's like,
That's exactly what it is. So I know we did talk about this a little bit and you mentioned it, but the Democrats don't actually have a platform that they're running on, right? Like that you just said this, right? So I think when we got into it a little bit before in one of the previous episodes, we talked about like in the past, right? You used to be able to know like
I pulled up
this
all the
person
topics
thinks
and
X, Y, Z, right? Yeah, you went on Wikipedia, you found the topics, you found whatever, like the stances on different things. Now, what do people on the left do? All they're saying is, well, if Trump gets elected, there's going to be a national abortion ban. That's not true.
democracy's dead if he wins.
Number one, that's not true because Trump has said multiple times on the record that he thinks it should be a states' rights issue, which it is now, thanks to the Supreme Court, my favorite branch of government. Um, and so he has said, there's no need. There's no need for me to do anything with that
Yeah.
because it should be up to the states, and it is. So we're all good. But what do they keep saying? Well, if Trump wins, there's going to be a national abortion ban. No one's going to be no more abortions. It's like, okay, well, you guys are lying, right? That's a lie, right? The next thing,
Democracy's gonna die.
democracy is dead, right? If Trump wins, democracy is done. It's cooked. Okay, what's your proof? Well, he's gonna elect himself a dictator. Well, why do you think that? Well, because look at him. He's a terrible person. Okay, but he lost an election 4 years ago and he left office.
Yep.
Yeah, but there was an insurrection at January 6th and all this stuff. Yeah, but he didn't lead that. He actually told them to stop, right? Whether or not you want to believe it was in a timely manner or it was done correctly, or he didn't try hard enough because he didn't run to the Capitol and put his arms up and push the people back himself, right? Like he actually said on the record, do not go there. Stay peaceful. He said that. So that's another lie, right? So, like, what is your actual platform? Like, what are you running on?
Yeah, I don't even
Because if
know.
you ask Trump, he's going to tell you we need to secure the border, right?
Yep.
We need to make everything affordable again, right? We need to work on reducing inflation,
Yeah,
right?
he wants to bring stuff back to the U.S.
He wants
Cars,
to
like he was
bring
talking
he
the
wants to
auto
bring
industry.
what is that manufacturing back to the United States,
Yeah,
right? So like
he wanted to do something
I'm
with
not a
cars. I
political.
forget what that
I
was.
mean, I know we have a podcast. We talk about politics all the time, but like inherently, I'm not a political person. And I just named you three things of Trump's platform off the top of my head. I can't tell you one thing from the Democrat
And the
platform
in the other
other
thing from
than Orange Man bad.
right, and then the like one thing, it's like, oh, climate. It's like, okay, but what? Like
Yeah. What about the
that's
climate?
the other thing, but what? And it because like it would be like if Trump just goes, jobs, we're gonna do jobs.
Yeah.
What about them? Just jobs,
Yeah. Just
magnets, just
yeah.
magnets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like It's like, yeah, jobs. We're gonna do jobs.
Yep.
The
Yep.
fuck does that mean? Well, the jobs aren't good enough right now, and we're gonna make the jobs better,
Yeah.
sir. What are you talking about? It's the
Yeah.
same thing with climate. Like the climate. Oh, okay. What
What
about it?
specifically are you going to
The
do about it?
climate's bad. Needs to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. If we
Oh,
don't
oh,
fix it, all the ice is going to melt.
yeah, in like
Yeah.
40,000 years or something. That
Yeah.
Twitter account's
That,
pretty. Do you follow that Twitter account?
yeah, that was pretty fucking awesome.
He keeps going. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that rate of melt is crazy, and
Yeah.
in 4,000 years it'll be gone.
So that's a really good point, right? And that's something that I think should be brought up. So to paraphrase, right, that Twitter account, I think you sent it to our group, right, on
I
Twitter.
did at one point, and it's popped
So
up a couple other times.
so
Because
I'm going to make up numbers here, right?
yeah,
But
just fake
effectively,
numbers.
what it is there's a fact. This is a fact, right? That they say like 112 million tons of ice has melted this year, right? You hear 112 million tons,
Like that's a
you're
fuckload of
like,
ice, man.
that's a lot of ice, man. Like that's a shit ton of ice. That's a lot. That's what, 224 million pounds.
Fucking lot of ice,
That's
dude.
a lot of ice, dude. That's a lot of fucking ice. What they don't tell you is they don't add the context to that, right? So the earth, right, that the fucking planet that we are on is massive,
Yeah,
right?
like
It's very
trillions of
large,
tons of ice.
very large. So someone did the math, right? And they charted it out. If we continue to lose ice at the current rate, right? And they use, I think they even went as far as to complete the the exponent, right, on the graph, right? So like if they took into account the last 50 years, obviously more ice melted this year than it did 50 years ago. So I think they charted the last 50 years, got a trend line, and continued that trend line so that in like 1,000 years from now, there'll be X times more ice melting than 112 million a year because it's following along the trend trajectory. So they did that math. Following that protocol, all of the ice on Earth would melt in 40,000 years.
It was something like absolutely preposterous. Even if it was 4,000 years, like
Yeah.
4,000 is a lot less than 40. Bro, we are in 2024.
Yeah.
Double
Yeah.
double that.
Yeah. So, yes. Oh my God. 112 million pounds of ice melted this year. The climate change. Oh my God, climate change. It's so bad. We're ruining the earth. We're killing everyone. All the ice is melting. We're going to have no more ice left. Yeah, in 40,000 years. You dumbass. Because 112 million tons of ice is nothing compared to actually, it's roughly 140,000th of what currently exists in the world. But that's what they do. They sensationalize headlines and they take things out of context, right? If you elect Trump, there will be a national abortion ban. If you elect Trump, democracy is dead. If you don't elect us, all the ice is going to melt. There's extreme climate change. Like, no. You are just lying. You're literally just lying. Like, I don't even give a shit if Trump is lying at this point because at least he has some like legitimate shit to talk about. Right? Like if he gets into office and he goes, yeah, just kidding about that whole securing the border thing. We're going to have fully open borders. Whatever. Like that's fucking ridiculous and it's really shitty.
It wouldn't
But like
happen, but
at least and it won't happen. But at least he spoke on securing the border forever. He didn't just stand there and be like, yeah, man, the ice is gonna melt and
yeah,
the climate's bad. Climate's bad.
or even
Yeah,
or
you
even
can't
even
vote for
like
Biden because he's bad. Right? Like obviously he's bad, right? If you vote for me, I'm better than him. So you vote for me, right? Because he's bad. Like he actually has things to talk about.
And like I even just think like with the way the Democratic Party has spoke, if Trump goes, yeah, I'm going to secure the border. Well, the Democratic Party has to do the opposite of that, right?
Right.
Because him bad. Like,
Yeah.
well, I think we're going to open the border, and they go, all right. Well, what about New York when the mayor said we got no more space?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Well, what happened 6 months ago?
What about in
Biden
Massachusetts?
started reenacting. This was like not on the news. It was only on Twitter, right? Again, this if you don't follow mainstream media and you only follow on Twitter, about 6 months ago, Joe Biden started reinstituting Trump era border policy 6 months ago because it got so fucking out of control. But no one on MSNBC or CNN would talk about it, only on Twitter.
Twitter's always right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's
So
stuff like that that like because it's all available to the public, right? Like this is how the country works. Like everyone in the public has the opportunity to gather information on the government, except for classified information. But like you can go and see what the White House filed for rulings and executive orders and briefing. You can just look it up. It's really easy. You just fucking look it up, right? So people look it up.
but that would take work.
Yeah, it does, which is why I don't do it. But other people put it on Twitter, right? And then you can look, and then people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, Biden has started to enact Trump era border policy," right? And that's where it comes from because it's just public information. But why does the mainstream media not talk about the same public information? That's kind of interesting. Yeah,
Either way, the only and like the reason why it caught me was I'm not looking for a reason to vote because I still know in Massachusetts like I'm useless, but I get a kick out of it, right? Because if I lived in another state, I would be the type of person that they would want to capture. Either side,
right.
because I'm currently not voting, which means in the reason I don't vote is because I think both sides fucking suck. And then that's number one, right? If I felt strongly about, like, if I really felt strongly, like, hey, I really like this person, and they just so happen to be a Republican in Massachusetts, I would fucking schlep my ass out to vote for that person,
Right.
knowing that it's like futile. Um, but they continue to just trot out these fucking nobodies that don't stand for shit. And then I see a statement like that, and I go, man, if I lived in Ohio, like, I'd be sitting there and I would be going, what about the Democratic Party would make me want to capture that? Like they're just so focused on that other guy that they're not even. It feels like they're not even trying.
Yeah.
Ohio's a
Yeah.
swing
It
state, right? Did I use
it
a good?
is.
Did I use a
Yeah.
good
It
example?
is. It
Okay.
is.
I was gonna say because if someone's sitting there being like, "Nah, that doesn't add up," and I find it frustrating because like I would like for candidates to be what I consider to be fucking useful, and they're all cunts.
Right.
And they all continue to be cons.
Right.
Here we
Yeah.
are.
And here we are. So it's gonna continue to be weird, right? It's just gonna keep getting weirder. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see
It's
what
gonna,
happens.
especially if it's Harris, it's gonna be, you know what? It's gonna be weird as shit because if it's not Harris, then whoever they do pick, it's gonna be fucking weird as hell.
Yeah.
It's not
And
gonna be
remember,
a normal person.
just to re-invoke here, Alex Jones called this too.
Oh, God.
So, and this is one of those things, right? This is why Alex Jones is so infuriating because he's wrong quite a bit,
Yeah, and when he's wrong, he's so fucking wrong.
but he's not always wrong.
He's such an
He said
asshole.
a week ago. So this is splitting hairs, right? But he said a week ago that Joe Biden would drop out by July 20th. So here we are. Today is July 21st,
Wrong.
and Biden drops out, right? So that's the thing. Like, he was right. Alex Jones was right about this. He said that
Nothing
Biden
wrong.
was going to drop out. Like,
But
I mean, yeah, it was a day
what else did he?
after.
No. What else did he say?
He also said that they were going to try and kill Trump again.
And
Oh, I don't know. He said a lot of things.
himself.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
gonna try to kill him and Joe
Yeah.
Rogan and who
Him and
else?
Rogan and
Oh, and
Tucker.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things, right? Where it's like, he was right.
Eh. Or if you throw enough darts, some of them have to land.
Yeah, it's true.
No, but
It's,
it was floating. So truthfully, it was floating around because wasn't Trump interviewed on like his golf cart and and he was like, uh, he goes, well, Joe's done. He goes, and they're gonna put Kamala out there and she's fucking terrible or something, or she's so fucking bad.
yeah. Well, Vivek said it in
That was like weeks
February.
ago.
Vivek said it in February during like the Republican primaries. He stood on the debate stage and goes, "The Democrats need to stop the charade and just tell us who their real candidate is because it's not going to be Joe Biden." He said that in February on a Republican debate stage, which again is why I think Vivek would be a great person to be president. But
Probably why he'll
obviously,
never be it.
yeah, yeah,
The amount of qualified people out there that'll never get like they'll
yeah,
never even sniff it because if they're smart enough, they won't do it.
right. Well, I mean, Vivek is probably going to get a cabinet position with Trump. Whether that's
Again, I think
Secretary of State or like, ambassador to the UN or something. He'll get something.
if eventually though, if he's smart, he'll get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's fun for now, but eventually it's gonna be like this sucks.
Right.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
So, yeah, interesting. It's going to keep getting weirder and weirder. But it'll be fun to watch and fun to talk about. It'll definitely don't lack things to talk about.
I just hope that and like this is the thing is just like as the I don't know why I say this because I'm not going to pay attention to it. I would just like a little bit of like traditional presidential races where like you guys should debate. But I don't know if
Yeah.
we're going to debate. It's like what the fuck? Just have the fucking debate.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
And it's
Right. Like at this
like
point, I think,
give us some positions. Go up there and fucking debate. Get out there and campaign. Like forget about each other for a fucking second and just
right.
tell us what the fuck you're going to do.
Right. At
And then
this
we'll make
point,
fun of you for that shit.
I think we all understand that all politicians are cunts anyway, and they're all snakes and slime balls. So, like, just give me the Obama Romney thing, right? Like two guys that are very well put together that are probably snake oil salesmen, but like they're just gonna be like statesmen, right? Like give
Ain't gonna
me,
happen with this guy, but
you know what I mean? Like I don't even know. Give me Josh Shapiro against fucking. I mean, ideally I would just say Vivek, right? But like
yeah, fine.
Tulsi, right? Like Vivek and Tulsi, right? Or RFK or someone like at least if you're gonna be a slimy politician, like be well put together and like be, a president about it.
Yeah, brutal. It's
Yeah,
absolutely brutal right now.
yeah, it is. It's fucking brutal.
I can't even imagine. Like, so remember when we were in school and they used to like kind of like teach sort of what was going on?
Yeah,
Imagine trying to teach that shit right now
God.
from a neutral perspective. Not
Yeah. Well,
possible.
I'm sure not a lot of neutral
There's no
perspectives are.
neutrality. That's why I put
Yeah,
that caveat in there.
yeah,
Because actually, if you are biased, it's very easy to teach.
right, right.
Let's go over why Trump's bad today. All
Yeah.
right. Great.
So, I don't know. You want to wrap this up?
we
It's
can
about
wrap
that
this
time.
up. Yesterday I did a short game clinic
Ah,
with a guest instructor at Sharon Country Club.
how did that go?
Um, Good. Dude's name's Atticus Bellin.
Atticus
I think
Finch
I think it's Atticus Bellin.
from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Not quite, because the dude's like probably younger than I am. Atticus Bellin, he is in Kentucky, the academy at Old Stone. I think he is also on the Skillest app. So if you wanted like online
Okay,
stuff
yeah,
from him,
I've seen that before.
yeah. So I mean, if like you were like a remote guy, like you could do that too. Um, Pretty good though. I mean, like yeah, he knows his shit, which is nice because I did a 2 hour clinic with the guy, so I'm glad that it wasn't like a waste of my time.
Right.
Um, Definitely interesting stuff. And like especially when it comes to the short game, there's kind of a lot that has to happen. Or actually, it's not a lot that has to happen because it's all the like when you do like a million things, because people think it's like, oh, I hit that chip fat. Oh, it's like, oh, and then I sculled the next one. What am I doing? And it's like it's actually the same thing.
Right.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, because if you skull one and hit another fat, all you're probably doing is coming into it just like way too steep. And
Okay.
steep can surface in like and I'm no golf instructor, so if you're listening, like do not take this as like Bible. Um, because steep is not only like how steep the club is coming in, it also has to do with your low point. Because if your low point is back, you can have a steep angle of attack, but you're still going to hit that ball fat,
Right.
but you're not going to thin it. But when you're more shallow and your low point is back, you hit it fat. And if you're shallow and your low point is forward or at the ball, then you can equator it. So if you get your low point forward, then you get ball first contact, and then that's how the ball spins, and then you play with the club face to get launch and all that crap.
Right.
And the funny thing about that is that shit only works from like a fairway lie, because when you're in the rough, completely different. And it
Yeah.
was like he had to say it in this way for me to be like, oh, that makes perfect fucking sense. So when you have a fairway lie, the ball is sitting on top of the ground.
Right.
You can get ball first contact. You can launch it low with spin. When you were in the rough, you cannot get ball first contact. And if the ball is sitting up on top of the rough, you cannot get quality ball first contact,
Right.
even if your club is striking the ball first. So you need a completely different approach out of the rough. And he was teaching like almost like a short follow through type thing. Um, so you still do some of the qualities, like for me, it's like leaning forward or like tipping the shoulder, playing down.
Right.
So as a lefty, it would be like right shoulder low, which if we took a picture, my right shoulder is not lower than my left, but that's the feeling.
Right. 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 Right.
Um, so out of the rough, you can still do that, but you can't throw like the shaft like way far forward because now you're setting up for low launch spin, but you can't do that out of the rough. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to actually like throw the club back, lower the hand, like shit like that. And then the bunker. Now I have sucked out of the bunker for a while now. And I even had him for a minute because he's like, okay, do this, do that, do this. It's like, okay, hit one good. And it's like, all right, then, skull the next one. skull the next one, send it out screaming, but somehow it spun, and it's like, all right, get it back. It's like, get back over here, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. Like, he did groups of four, so it was me, three other people. Um, he was doing a lot of the instruction. Our pro was kind of kicking around, but our pro doesn't teach like that. So, like, he is like the head pro at our club, not like a head or like a director of instruction or
Right.
academy director or whatever.
Right.
So he just simply doesn't teach that much as this dude. Um, and yeah, like doing it within like the four people was pretty good too. Because it's not just like, because then you can like look around and you can like, oh, okay, so like you're not doing anything that this guy said. And then it's like, obviously, as a better player, I'm like picking it up like kind of quick.
Yeah.
But I also had some of the qualities all right. Like I come into it steep no matter what. Like for some people to get like, I could get 20 down on the club if I needed to on a chip, which is way too far down. But like
Yeah.
some of these guys might be only like 3 or 4 down. And it's
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
good fucking luck. Um, but yeah, I thought that yeah, that was like a nice little program and going over like short game stuff. Almost can see how it's valuable.
Yeah.
Kidding, obviously.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, so we'll see. Then of course today it's like I only had like what would be like one traditional like short game shot like that.
Obviously.
Hit it to an inch, but you know, who's really keeping track?
Yeah. N equals one.
Yeah. Yeah,
We'll see.
I think in 9 holes I think I hit 6 greens or 6 greens and fringes. Did I hit a recovery shot? I must have hit a recovery shot. And then like or I had like two like awkward like tips which were like there ain't no technique here, man. Just fucking figure it out. Um so yeah, it was good. Good that was pretty interesting and it doesn't take a lot to like kind of go through that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely glad I did it, but yeah, that's my like latest golf. I haven't had many golf updates this year. I not playing at the same frequency. I'm not playing tournaments at the same frequency. So it's like
Yeah.
I haven't been sharing much golf.
I haven't been able to play as much as I normally have either. But I mean, I suppose that's to be expected with a child now. But obviously, last week got
Generally.
fucking thrown in the blender by me burning my hands and not being able to hold a golf club. So,
Yep. Wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that was
yeah,
brought up in the short game lesson. I don't think it was burn
no,
the palm of your hands.
yeah,
Make sure you do that.
yeah, make sure you do that. But those are healed. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and sneak out tomorrow night after work because I looked. It's supposed to rain Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and
Sick.
then Amy's away on a bachelorette party Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's like if I don't golf tomorrow, I might go a month stretch without golfing, which
Strap
I
the
might
kid to the
fucking lose my
fucking
mind.
cart.
Yeah, I know, right? They sell they sell those attachments. It's like a little thing you pop onto the carriage, right? And then you just stick all your clubs in that, and then you're good. You just push him instead of pushing a golf cart. But I think he would need to be a little bit older. He'd probably need to be at least able to talk.
No, I think what you need. So one, you would have to carry your bag. So if you want it bad enough, you'll do it. Put him in the stroller. Throw your bag on your back and push him along. Now, the golf course probably isn't going to want to do that. And there's definitely no, like, you're not going to have a fucking enjoyable time doing such
Yeah.
things
I
either.
also
But
would never do that at a place like Jamawa where it's like
no,
fucking hard hat central.
yeah, he'll get fucking killed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I could probably do it at like Wentworth, but
Well, the other thing too is most of these golf courses are going to be like, no, you are not fucking pushing that kid on a stroller.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, our insurance doesn't cover that.
Yeah, no, there is no coming back from that.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, fucking deer shows up,
Oh yeah.
anything.
Yeah. But yeah. So uh actually, really quick before I get to my final thought, we have an update. I meant to lead with this, but we started talking about the open. Um we suck even more. Just a honorable we suck for all the people that have died in the last week that we didn't have. Uh, Kobe Bryant's dad, who I didn't know played in the NBA. His nickname was Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean Bryant died. Jacoby Jones, who is a former NFL wide receiver, played for a lot of teams, but he played for Houston and Baltimore is probably the two where he's known most for. Uh, Dr. Ruth, who I don't really know, but apparently she was like some sort of like sex psychologist back in like the 80s. She died, and so did Shelley Duvall, who was the female lead in The Shining, and who also played Olive Oil in the Popeye movie. So yeah, we suck there. But my final thought is the other day, on Friday, there was some sort of like outage uh, because of, I think the company was called CrowdStrike. Um, that sounds too much like a video game to me. I feel like I'm fucking that up, but I think it was called CrowdStrike.
I think that's what it's called. I think I saw
No, it
that.
is. Okay. All right, cool.
I think.
Um, so they did something or they got hacked or they something happened with them, right? And like everything was down, right? The entire company of Microsoft was down, which none of their fucking products were down. So I still got to work, right? Because my Outlook, we use Microsoft Office. So Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, Excel, like everything was fully functioning for me on Friday. So I still got to work. That was a lot of fun. But the company, Microsoft itself, was shut down. A ton of businesses went out. BetMGM was out. Their app was down. Um, Everything got crushed on Friday because of this like one hacker or something happened, whatever. Airlines were down, right? American Airlines, Delta, um, all of these companies had to ground their planes because their software just couldn't function because it got hacked and crushed and turned off basically, except for one. There was one airline that remained operational on Friday throughout the entire day, and that was Southwest.
I thought you were
the
going to say Spirit.
shitty the shitty Southwest. Spirit might have been too, right? But as far as like major airlines, Southwest was the only one that remained operational on Friday because, come to find out, they still operate on a system that it's not the same, right? But it's equivalent to Windows 95. So their entire airline flight system, everything in that airline runs off of a hardware that is equivalent to Windows 95. And because this hacker or a CrowdStrike crash or whatever, fucked up all of the most latest versions of everything, Southwest was like, yeah, it doesn't affect us. We never updated our fucking operating systems. So we're all set. We're good.
They also that could be part of like, or I guess company wide. Like they'll also fly through like a hurricane. It's like, oh, no one can fly. It's like, what do you mean no one can fly? Take the fuck off. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Radio works. Radio and radar isn't affect. Would radar be affected by the
Nah,
computers?
shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. So if
Yeah.
the radio and the radar works, let's fucking roll.
Yeah. So shout out to Southwest for running off of old shitty software and that actually being a benefit to them. So that's just one of those times where, like the old man sits there in his chair and goes, "See, I told you," right? It's like the guy that has the flip phone, right? Like every iPhone just explodes, right? Like in the Kingsman, right? Like in
Yeah.
like all the phones with the chips in them, they all blow up and they all kill everybody, whatever. But the guy that sits there with the flip phone, it's like, yeah, see, I told you, all that technology was bad, and that's Southwest. So I just thought that was pretty awesome that their technology is so old that it wasn't affected by literally everything else crashing on Friday. So that's gonna do it for us. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy as well. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. The Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. The website is sarcasmspeaks.com. You can check out the show notes below. Follow those links down there to save some money on some cool products. Support the sponsors, support us. And yeah, until next time, good night, everybody.